Good morning everybody, welcome back. For today I'm going to be talking you through some of the huge choice, quite frankly, of different video editors. Now, you know, there's so much choice in this area. There's absolutely loads of them for all different levels, for beginners, for people who are like intermediate stage of video editing, for people who are advanced in their, you know, video editing and special effects and all that kind of stuff. And also, like with the AI side of things, there's some new you know, AI video editors where AI does a lot of the heavy lifting, and also there's some emerging ones which are starting to come through. So there is quite a bit of choice, and you know, it does vary by, you know, price and license term. You know, some of them, you know, offer like a three-year license. Some of them claim to offer a lifetime license. I don't actually believe that you know, you can get like a lifetime license, because the reason I say that is because I've had a couple of pieces of software in the past where, you know, it's been promised as like a one-time license fee, but then as time has progressed, you know, with the, you know, the economy and prices going up and, you know, competition and stuff, these companies have then realized that it's unsustainable. So they've, you know, reduced it down to a 5-year license term or a 3-year license term. Then what's next is it's like an annual thing. So look, one point I want to make before I kind of get into the, you know, going through this list is that one thing I've learned is that, you know, with videos, you know, it depends on the type of video you're making, but if you're, you know, going to be doing, you know, let's say travel documentaries and stuff like that, you know, maybe you might need some more special effects. Having said that, some of the best creators that are out there, you know, I've noticed that they don't overload stuff with special effects, you know. And when I've looked at some of the kind of marketing vlogs that are out there from other creators, you know, the one thing that's always struck me is that they've overdone it with the special effects, which is maybe a sign that maybe the content's a bit weak in terms of, you know, the message they're trying to get across. So what they've done is they've actually overloaded it with special effects, and, you know, every sort of 20-30 seconds there's a transition or a swoosh or a dash or, you know, some kind of cool trendy special effect. And, you know, you can actually ruin videos by overdoing it. But so some of my best videos, I've hardly got any special effects. You know, everything's, because people are more interested in the content, you see. You're interested in what you're saying, whether it makes sense, whether it's going to be useful to them. It's about adding value to, you know, every video you make should add some kind of value. So whilst I accept, you know, I'm not the absolute, you know, best ever creator out there, you know, I'd be arrogant to say I am, you know, hopefully what I do in my videos is I, you know, keep things a bit more down to earth, and I show you some of the options that are out there, and I always put the stuff in the description so that if you don't pick it all up in the video, you can actually scroll through the description and pick out what might be of interest for you. So let's move on. Right, so for myself, like, I've used a number of different video editors. I've used CapCut, which is great for short form content. You know, there's like a mobile version, and you can, you know, if you're doing like reels and shorts and stuff, and you just want to, you know, maybe make a very short piece of short form content a bit more engaging, a bit more fashionable, trendy, whatever word, cool, whatever word you want to use, then that might not be a bad option for you. There is a free version, but with a free version, the special effects and the templates and stuff are a bit limited, so you often find you have to upgrade to get their full templates and stuff. So but it's not a bad option. But most people tend to use the Adobe suite, you know, to be honest, for the video editing. You know, I can't speak for everybody, because as time has gone on, you know, it's more fragmented. There's more options out there. More people are using, you know, more and more different pieces of software. DaVinci Resolve is quite good. I'm going to get into the whole list in a minute, you know, from top to bottom. But, you know, when I tried to download that, you know, I didn't find that it downloaded very easily, you know, to be quite honest with you. For me personally, I quite like Adobe Premiere Elements, and the reason I say that is, although a lot of people use Adobe Premiere Rush, and there's like a mobile version for that, there's a monthly subscription for that, you see. Whereas Adobe Premiere Elements is kind of like a full suite editor, but sits on your computer, so desktop, laptop. It doesn't sit in the cloud, it sits on your computer. And at the time that I bought that, a year and a half ago, I was just getting into it, so I didn't want anything that was going to kind of completely blow my mind. Like Adobe Premiere Pro, which is for, you have to know what you're doing to be able to use that. It's really something else. So look, at the time I bought it, I think I paid 75 quid, something like that, and that was like a lifetime license in 2023. And then I upgraded for the 2024 version, which I'm not sure if that was worth it, to be honest. Didn't have many major upgrade features, but they got a bit more money out of me. And again, that was like a lifetime license, so it doesn't expire after like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Now I've seen the 2025 version, which they're trying to get me to upgrade to, and I haven't done that yet. I'm probably not going to. And they've modified the term, so that's like a 3-year license. So do you see what I mean? I was mentioning this earlier in the video, that a lot of companies, but I don't really believe in a lifetime license, because maybe for existing users, but for new users it's not sustainable, because prices are going up, there's more competition, they need to make more money. So it's more realistic for them to have people on like a some kind of annual recurring subscription. Now, still very cost effective. I think the 2025 version is probably somewhere between 80 and 100 quid, but probably about 85 quid, something like that. I haven't actually checked, but that's my gut feeling. I got a promotional offer offering me sort of 75 quid, 80 quid, something like that, but that's because I'm already a customer. If you're not a customer, it might be a bit more, so check that out. I'll put it in the description anyway. But yeah, look, I use that because I find it has good wide choice of special effects. It's very you probably won't get your head around it in 1 hour or 1 day. There's a bit more to learn than that, but it does everything you need it to do. And I find it, if I'm being honest, I find it a bit better in CapCut, purely because you got a bit more control over the fine details of the actual, how you're going to do the video. So if I can just kind of explain, like all video editors were saying, there's like a video reel, like an audio space for your audio, and then below that you've got another space for another video, another audio, so you can layer these things like the audio, and maybe you've got 2 bits of audio you want to merge together, so you put them on 2 different strips, and there's tons of transitions. There must be at least 100 transitions in Adobe Premiere Elements. But getting back to my point, most people aren't, like when I come to edit this video, I will put some kind of different effects in, which I don't normally use, just to show you what is possible. However, I don't generally overload my videos with special effects every 20 seconds, and because I just think it's just too much. It detracts from the message and it puts people off, and it's a sign that maybe your content is a bit weak. So there needs to be some balance to it. Whichever video editing platform you use, there needs to be some balance. So try and use it sparingly and in the right places, rather than using it every 20-30 seconds, because it is, if you are doing that, it is a sign that your content might be a bit weak. So let's get into this list, and we'll go through it from top to bottom. Okay, so for professional grade editors, let's say, most people in the industry have Adobe Premiere Pro, so it's quite specialized. It's not for people who are just starting out or beginners, and maybe arguably intermediate level users might struggle to use it. So next one down the list is DaVinci Resolve. I had a bit of difficulty downloading that from a legitimate source, so I never got to test drive that one out. Final Cut Pro, that's for Mac users. It doesn't work with Windows. They might have changed it, but as far as I know, it's for Mac users. It's supposed to be very good, on a par with some of the best kind of editors out there, but it's primarily for Mac users. And there's a bit of a steep learning curve. It's not a kind of beginner's platform. There's loads and loads of them, so I'm just looking at my list in front of me, because I'm not going to memorize them all. It's not that I don't know stuff, but I'm not going to, because there's too many to memorize. So Then you got Avid Media Composer, which is another one. These are like, you know, professional grade editors. Vegas Pro is another one. You know, I've not used any of these, to be honest. The closest I've come to using any of these is trying to download DaVinci Resolve and get that set up, which I didn't have any luck with, to be honest. Maybe, yeah, because I use a VPN, and when I tried to download it, it came up with, you know, site has malicious, you know, software. So I bought it there for download. So intermediate grade editors, so this is the one I use, Adobe Premiere Elements. So it's like it's a full suite, you know, video editor, but it sits on your computer. So that could be a desktop, could be a laptop, you know, so it doesn't sit in the cloud or the internet, so to speak. So your data, everything's done online, and you can edit the videos without even being connected to the internet, which I think is great. So once you've actually filmed your video, downloaded the video into your computer files from your digital camera, you know, video camera, let's say, then you can actually edit the video and all the special effects and play it back and stuff without even being connected to the internet, which I think is great. Some of the ones where everything's in the cloud, you need to be connected to the internet, and yes, the internet's available in most places, but you know, sometimes maybe it might not be. I mean, look what happened in Spain and Portugal the other day with an unprecedented nationwide blackout. Now, you know, admittedly, if you know, obviously that affected everything, but you get my point. You know, if you had battery power in your laptop, you'll still be able to edit that video even in a power cut. So yeah, that's my point. So I use Adobe Premiere Elements. You know, I've got the 2023 and 2024 versions, and I find it does everything I need it to do without it being completely over the top with special effects. You know, I can kind of layer graphics and moving text and titles, and you know, as I say, it can do everything I needed to do without it being completely over the top. So here's another one, Cyberlink Power Director. Now I have downloaded this one. I've got it set up on my you know, laptop. I've yet to start experimenting with it. It's an intermediate level platform. Based on different reviews I've read, you know, it claims to have, you know, much more features and special effects than Adobe Premiere Elements. But you know, in terms of cost and license fee, I haven't paid that yet. Haven't got into it too much. I'm going to start experimenting with it just to see if it does stack up and do what it says on the tin. But you know, the truth be told, as I mentioned right at the beginning of the video, you know, do I want to be making videos where every 20-30 seconds is like a special effect or a swoosh with some new text, you know, swinging into the middle of a video and stuff? I just think it's over the top. You know, people don't want to, you know, it's a sign that your content might be a bit weak, you know, and you're trying to hide it with special effects and music, and you know, and you can overdo it and people will see through that, you know. So maybe that's an avenue I'm not going to go down, but I will kind of, you know, maybe make another video on that once I've checked it out a bit more. So then you've got Pinnacle Studio, which is another intermediate grade editor. Filmora, yeah, a couple of years ago I tried to download this one. I didn't have much luck with it. You know, when I say I didn't have much luck, I didn't find it that user friendly, to be honest. You know, it's a bit of a steep learning curve. Then you've got what have we got here? Yeah, Movave video editor. Never heard of that one, to be honest. You know, so again, that's an intermediate grade editor. There's so many of them, guys. You know, that it's a bit like the software market, the SaaS platforms. There's so many of them, but you know, I think personally that people can get a bit too carried away with this. And you know, I remember when I first got into YouTube, you know, I used to think that, you know, I need to have all the latest gadgets, you know, the most high-tech gimbal and the you know, the most expensive camera. I mean, my camera is quite expensive, but it's not the top of the range one. And you know, when I first started out, I used to believe wrongly that, you know, I needed to have, you know, the best Adobe Premiere Pro edited videos and stuff, and videos filmed in 4K and, you know, with 8K now, you know. But a lot of the stuff is nonsense, because, you know, the most popular video format is 1080p. You know, most people will tell you that. That's what I'm filming on now, you know. And, you know, whether you're filming on 1080p or 4K is, you know, it's a nonsense. You know, yes, if you're filming, you know, some kind of bespoke hotel video or company video, or you know, maybe you're filming the Palm at Dubai or something like that, you know, maybe there might be a slight improvement in 4K, but in reality, you know, 1080p is the most widely used video format. It's what I'm recording and what I'm going to publish, and that does the trick. So but getting back to video editors, this belief that you need to have the most up-to-date special effects and, you know, be kind of, you know, brainwashing people with special effects every, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 seconds in your videos is a nonsense, guys, you know. So I would personally recommend, you know, having been doing this for a while, depending on the type of videos you make and depending on what your aims and objectives are, go with Adobe Premiere Elements, because, you know, if you're either a beginner or an intermediate, I'd say I'm intermediate at the moment, and you don't want to spend a lot of cash, you want to have most of the facilities on your desktop or laptop that's not where you can edit without being connected to the internet, and get what is now like a three-year license term for like £100, so about $120 or something like that. That's your best bet. So look, let's move on. So free and open source editors, you know, you probably won't need to use all these, but so there's one called Shortcut. So open source means basically, you know, it's been made with free available open source software, so that's what that means. So it's free to use. So there's one called Shortcut. I'll read out what it says. Open source video editor with a wide format support and modular interface. Most of these things are the same, you know, whether it's short form content or long form content, the basic principles are the same. Think of it like this. If you imagine like a new social media platform where, you know, people can post comments and videos and pictures and stuff, yeah, it might not look like Facebook, but the features and the functionality are kind of the same, and maybe some buttons might be in some different places. So it's a bit like that with regard to the video editors, that is, you know. So they are quite similar in what they do. Things might be in different places. There might be some pros, some cons, some improvements, some setbacks, but broadly speaking, that's what we do. So there's another one called OpenShot. These are the free and open source editors. What we got here, yeah, so Lightworks, HitFilm, Blender. Yeah, I've heard of Blender, I've not used it. You know, the things with short form content is that, you know, a lot of people can edit these things directly on their phones now and then upload them to YouTube, like a YouTube short, or as a reel on Instagram. You know, talking about Meta, I saw something in the news this morning. Apparently the European Commission has rejected the proposed, because basically Meta were planning you know, like a revision to their terms and conditions. So you either accept that you know you're going to be your information is going to be used from on and offline sources in return for like a free model, or you opt to pay a subscription, and the European Union have rejected that. So in the third quarter of this year there might be some kind of big changes, and Meta is saying that, you know, European Union users will suffer as a result. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, that's another subject. So mobile and web-based video editors, you got iMovie, Adobe Premiere Rush. So that's quite common. Adobe Premiere Rush, you know, it's popular with like YouTubers and stuff. You can do it on it's a mobile-friendly editor. You can do it on your mobile phone. It does have a subscription, you know, attached to it. You know, it might be, it's probably, I think it's at least £20 a month. You know, so that's why I prefer Adobe Premiere Elements, because it's like I was lucky I got the 2023, 2024 one-time versions, so, you know, I can potentially keep using that until my laptop packs up, so to speak, which hopefully won't be yet. But, you know, if you do need to renew it, it's now a 3-year license term, and as an existing user, I think you get an introductory offer like 80 quid. If you're not an existing user, it's probably 110 quid, something like that. But it's still great. When you divide it by 3, you know, you got a full suite video editor for beginners and intermediate level users for you know, 30-35 quid a year, which is great. You know, whereas many video editors will charge you that amount or more per year. So that's why I like that. So you've got Adobe Premiere Rush, CapCut, we've covered that already, InShot, KineMaster, Clips Champ, Canva video editor. You know, I've had a dabble with Canva video. I don't like it. I think it's too basic without you know, I'm just trying to be fair in my comments. You know, look, maybe it's great for people who are, you know, not creators who just want to put together like a very basic video, but it's not the same as Adobe Premiere Elements, where you've got, you know, all these different special effects that you can apply and stuff like that. It's just not the same. I've tried it and I found it too basic. You know, maybe it's okay for, like, you know, somebody at school or something, you know. Yeah, like, I mean, what I'm saying, guys, you know, and I'm being fair in my comments, is that it's not a professional grade editor. You know, you're not going to get the same, you're not going to be able to achieve the same professional results, I don't believe, using Canva video editor. It's just not cut out for that. It's designed for people who are, you know, maybe elderly, maybe very young, maybe, you know, single mums. I don't know. You know, I don't want to be judgmental, but it does a job, but maybe it doesn't. It's very, very basic, and that's why it's free. You know, so. Okay, so specialized editors. So you got what's called Active Presenter, Video Pad. What we got? Avid Max. Yeah, I'll put it in the description anyway. I can't quite. Yeah, I've never heard of it, so so it can't be that popular. But so I say it can't be that popular because it's specialized. You see, so, you know, it's not mainstream. That's why I've probably not heard of it. So it doesn't mean it's not any good, but I'll put it in the description. So also there's these, with the AI revolution, there's a lot of AI video editors now. So, you know, for social media and for short form content. So we've covered CapCut, OpenClip, Meta Edits, Flex Clip. Yeah, I've heard of a couple of those. Veed.io, I've definitely heard of that one. They're quite big. They're based in the US. Runway ML, Descript, Pictory, Synthesia, LTX Studio. You know, these are all AI video editors, but they're the ones I just mentioned, so I just recap that again. So Runway, Descript, Pictory, InVideo AI, Synthesia, and LTX Studio. They are AI video editors, but for professional users and long form content, whereas the previous AI video editors I mentioned, I'll just read through those again. So CapCut, OpenClip, Meta Edits, Flex Clip, and Veed for social media and short form content. So there is a difference, yeah. And some emerging ones. It's never ending list, isn't it? You know, so I did say right at the beginning I wouldn't be able to remember them all. I've not even heard of some of them. So you got Adobe Firefly. These are emerging AI video tools. So, you know, they can do some things, but maybe not all. They're emerging. So Adobe Firefly Video, Google Vids, OpenAI Sora, never heard of that one. Meta Movie Generator, ByteDance AI, Liming AI. So to be honest, like, I've not dabbled with. I think I've had a dabble with Firefly, but these can do different things. You know, they can, you know, they're not strictly video editors, but we can do some things like maybe help to generate, you know, short form video content and stuff. So that's why they're emerging AI video tools rather than actual video editors. So there's a lot of stuff there. I will put it in the video description for you. Sorry if I've talked for too long. Some videos I have to talk for more, and some videos I can talk for a bit less. But I hope you know, there's some stuff that I've talked about which you'll be able to take stock of, take on board, and maybe you know, try it yourself. You know, best thing to do is have a look through the actual description, and you know, as well as listening to the video, obviously, excuse me, and just pick out what might be of interest to you. And yeah, okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.